Tuesday, January 23rd meeting of the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
I'm not.
First item on our agenda is the accounts payable docket for this week. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is a ratification of the accounts payable docket from last week when we weren't able to have our meeting because of the conditions in the building. Do we have a motion to approve last week's accounts payable docket?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is approval of the settlement agreement with Chase Howard and ABC Investments. Counselor, do you have anything to add to that?
I do not. This was negotiated out. It was a resolution that we think is very favorable for the county, and we ask for your approval.
Do we have a motion to approve the settlement agreement with Chase Howard and ABC Investments?
A motion to approve the settlement agreement.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is approval of the Canon contract. We welcome to the podium Mr. Warfield.
How you guys doing? Richard Warfield, IT Director, St. Joe County.
Is there anything you want to?
Yeah, the Canon contract is what we're doing is this goes into the paper reduction thing that we're doing. It's going to be eliminating a lot of the desktop printers from departments and putting Canon MFPs in its place. So this should save the county quite a bit of money in regards to printing.
I will know we have a surplus of desktop printers all over the place.
Yes.
Yeah.
So consolidating that makes sense.
Yep.
Any questions for Mr. Warfield about the Canon contract? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
There's a motion to approve the Canon contract.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you
Aye.
vote?
Right?
No,
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
I'm getting choked up.
Thank you so much.
Next are the bills passed by the county council. There was only one, ordinance 124. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the ordinance 1-24.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the reappointment to the Historic Preservation Commission. We'll open up the floor for nominations.
Nomination of Sarah Andrews.
Any other nominations?
Negative.
If not, nominations are closed. Do we have a motion to approve the reappointment of Sarah Andrews?
Motion to approve this reappointment for Sarah Andrews.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is the reappointment to the New Carlisle Olive Township Public Library Board. Do we have, we'll open the floor for nominations.
I have a nomination of Tara Bailey.
Terry Bailey.
Terry, that's a Terry Bailey, yeah.
If there are no other nominations, do we have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the reappointment for the Terry Bailey at the Public Library Board.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is renewal of the Amazon business contract, the online marketplace. Good morning, Bree.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bree Roberts, office is on the 7th floor of this building. Before you today is contract R-TC-17006. So this contract was originally solicited by Prince William County Public Schools. Because they've gone through the full solicitation as another public entity, we have the opportunity to piggyback off of this master contract, which we actually did previous year for 2023 as well. Procurement finds this favorable and asks for your approval.
Any questions? We did do this last year and worked out well.
Yes.
If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve the renewal of the Amazon business contract?
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is approval of the Orkin Commercial Services Agreements.
Yep, so this one was typically handled in the past by the maintenance department. I jumped into this one this year just to make sure that we're getting advantageous pricing and follow through with service. The prices that are listed for 2024 do show a slight increase because of inflation, costs to pay people to come out and do the spraying. There's a number of facilities which are each itemized in the following pages. But once again, procurement finds this favorable and asks for your approval.
Do we have an estimate as to how much it increased? Just,
I think for most of the locations, it was a number of dollars.
it was minimal as I,
Very
Looked back.
minimal, yep.
Do they do all of our properties?
I don't know about all of them. The specific locations that are itemized in the following pages, those are the ones that we're covering for this year. If somebody comes out of the woodwork and says that they were covered previously.
Was that a pun? Did you get a good job? Out of the woodwork? Okay.
came out of the woodwork.
I know that Arrow does Portage Manor, but like the coroner's office, do they all, everybody has kind of off-site, do they solicit their people, or is it just all one umbrella?
Yep, so I personally think they should come under the master umbrella with us. But like I said, if somebody reaches out and we've neglected to include them, then I'll swing back around.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want to coming out of the woodwork, Mr. Mish.
Puns aside, any further questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve the Orkin Commercial Services Agreements?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bree. Moving on to infrastructure planning and growth, approval of contract with the regarding the Auden bike trail bike.
Sky Meadows, Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth, offices on the 7th and 11th floor. This first item are change orders that were needed to during construction for the Auden Road Bike Trail. One was for some concrete pavement at the crossing, one of the crossings of Auden that needed replacement, and another was for some lighting that needed to be fixed for safety reasons. And both those change orders are in the amount of about $6,100, and more or less it basically just 0.7% of the overall contract. We've reviewed and recommend your approval.
Is that bike trail, is that going to continue going west, or is that a Chaleo question?
This project itself is done, but we have a study through redevelopment right now that's going on that's looking at taking the bike trail further up Laurel, and then the bridge project we have for the Auden Road Bridge, which is scheduled for 2027, will add a bike lane to it, so in the future we can continue west. I don't know if there's current plans to do that, but it's something that I think in the
Okay, is it, well, I can ask Bill when he comes up, is that our role to do all that stuff in the county, or is there because part of our new comprehensive plan, Mr. Mish, phase 3 on page 5, we talked about at that meeting, bicycle and walking paths in the role of St. Joe County, but that's not your or Bill's role?
Well,
Is that a NIMBA thing, or
I think it's a matter,
do we
it'll
need
be
to
a
create a
matter
bike
of,
czar?
I think it'll be a matter of, different partnerships in doing that. Is that a good answer?
I'll ask Bill when he comes up.
Okay,
Put Bill
yeah.
on the spot.
Hijack my portion
For
of the
like-
agenda.
Myself and the EMA people who have a tandem when we ride, I think they're looking to see if we can go further west, because I think it would be unique if we could ride out to the Dinosaur Museum and the Light of Bog and all that kind of stuff. So I know it was a difficult question, but don't worry, we're good.
Scott, do you anticipate any future change orders on this since the project is,
You know, every time I say I don't, I end up with one. But on this one, I think it's pretty much done. I do not expect any future change orders.
and I'll note the total amount of the change orders is 1.7%, which is
Right, pretty good.
substantially below
Yeah,
the average.
yeah. So if I'm up here next
Good job.
week asking for another change order, I preface that, but I don't think there will be.
Any further questions or comments?
I have no further questions at this time.
Do we have a motion to approve change orders 2 and 3 for the Orton Trail Bike and Pedestrian Facilities Project?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next, we have the quote award for Whippoorwill Valley, Sandy Brook Drive Extension.
This was a section of road in Whippoorwill Valley, that back in 2014, it was decided at that time that the surety would be cashed in and the county would go ahead to complete that road, and it needs to be completed next year. So we ended up sending it out for bid, and we ended up getting 5 bids, and the low bid was John Betcher Sewer and Excavating in the amount of $281,188.78. We've reviewed all the bids in that bid and tabulated everything up, and we recommend approval of that company to do the work.
This was a small connection, wasn't it, between 2
Yes.
existing roads?
Yeah, it included water and storm sewer and everything else, so that's why the price is up there where it's at.
And it's below the estimate, so
Yes.
that's good news. Questions?
Sure, another technical question. The pond ditch junk out there, did we ever end up, you know what I'm talking about? I'll
it's
talk
not
to you
ringing a
individually
bell,
on that.
yeah.
Like, that we had, and I think our drainage board people may have done that, but I don't think it relates to that, but
Okay.
that's more of a drainage board question. I'll ask our surveyor.
I'll ask the surveyor. If there are no further questions, do we have approval to approve the contract with John Betcher Sewer and Excavating?
Motion to approve this
Second.
request.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sky, and also pass on behalf of the commissioners, I'd like to compliment all of your highway crew for the job that they've done over the last week, from freezing, blowing, snow to all this ice. I haven't heard, other than people complain about Portage Manor, that I haven't had any complaints from anybody else, so great, just tell everybody a good job.
I'll do that, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to a request to advertise the Larison Force Main and Lift Station Project.
Good morning, Bill Shalio, Executive Director of Economic Development, part of Department of Infrastructure Planning and Growth, with offices on the 7th and 11th floor. Before you today, there's actually 2 requests to advertise. The first one is Larison Force Main and Lift Station Project. This is a project that's necessary for the General Motors Samsung project. We'd like to advertise on January 25th and February 1st in the Enterprise, and then on the 26th and the 2nd in the Tribune, opening these bids on the 13th of February. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Bill, this is in line with our timeline.
Yep, absolutely, yep.
Any questions?
Thank you, David.
Do we have a motion to approve the request to advertise for the Larison Force Main and Lift Station project?
Motion to approve these advertised.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you
Aye.
vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And as Bill said, the next is another request to advertise the St. Joseph Energy Center Water Treatment Plant, Phase 2 and 3.
Yeah, so what we're seeking to do here is do a pre-qualification package. What we would do is we have a package put together for qualified bidders. We'd like to advertise that. Once we do that, again, we'd use the same 2 advertising dates, open that on the 13th, determine qualified bidders, then turn around and go out and bid the St. Joseph Energy Center Water Treatment Plant Project Phase 2. Again, related to the GM and other projects out in the IEC. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve the advertisement of the St. Joseph Energy Center Water Treatment Plant pre-qualification package?
A motion to approve this advertisement.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Bill.
Next is approval of the 2024 LPA Community Crossings Matching Grant Fund application.
Sky Metters, County Engineer, Infrastructure Planning and Growth. What this letter is it's really committing that we have the funds to match the grant application, and also it's permission to apply for this grant. This is the Community Crossings Matching Grant that we've applied for since 2016. And have received every year since 2016 in the amount of $1 million. It's a 50-50 match. It's through the state. This year, the state has upped the amount to $1.5 million, which is good because we always spend more than the minimum match anyway. Basically, we have other funds available in LRSA, LOHUT, and MVH funds accounts to handle this. What we're applying for is about 9.2 miles of roads. For this grant, and ends up being about $350,000 per mile with the treatment that we have. We've reviewed this and request your approval and signature. Happy to answer any questions.
Well, we appreciate your efforts in past years to get that money on the Community Crossings project, and glad we're going after it again this year.
Yeah, if the state was to ever do away with this program, it would be, it would definitely cause us issues with our pavement preservation and rehabilitation program. So it's become a big part of of our program.
It's anticipated that next year, during the long session of the legislature, there's going to be considerable discussion and hopefully positive changes to the funding that the state provides local communities, so
I hope so.
it's needed.
We have a lot of roads to take care of and very little help with that, so.
Any questions for Mr. Metter on the Community Crossing Matching Grant Fund
For
application?
county, we have 800 and something miles, right?
We have about 1,200 centerline miles of roads, and it costs about, like, this is $350,000 per mile to do a mill and fill, and our budget, including the community crossings, is usually around 4.5 million. So you do the math, you don't get a lot of roads done every year. But
So since you've been an engineer, which is, what, 40 years ago you started, or whatever it was? But
Not quite.
since you've been here and prior to that, every year, how much does the cost of a road, is it being inflated by 20% every year, or 50%?
Well, when I started in 2019, we were using the number of about $220,000 per mile in 2019.
So is that the cost that it's warranted, or all the people that do that say, we can put this up bid high?
It's warranted, because the cost of the asphalt, which includes fuel and everything else in there, has gone up. The cost of labor has gone up
So
substantially.
all those businesses are capitalizing on something that they can control. You don't have to answer that, I will tell you, that's what's probably going on, so, cool.
But we actually bid these out, so it's a competitive bidding process, so.
Good to be.
Further questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve the Community Crossings Matching Grant Fund application?
Motion to approve this grant application.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
Caught me off guard there, you know.
I caught it. I got it.
From the recorder, we have a consent agenda, which is another Laredo agreement for their services. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda for the recorder?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Moving on to the auditor. Good morning.
Good morning, Abby Doyle, Deputy Auditor from the Second Floor Auditor's Office. I wanted to apologize on John Murphy's behalf. He wasn't able to be here today. He's out of state. The Krugel-Lawton contract that's in front of you, they conduct our gap conversion. They've been doing it since 2019. In 2019 is when we did an RFP, and we had RSM, Crow, and I believe Baker Tilly and Krugel-Lawton bid out for that. And Krugel was the lowest, but we've been working with Allison ever since then. She does a great job, always responsive, produces amazing work, and they also help with our audit. So they work hand in hand with any of the auditors at that time. The cost of the contract is approximately $40,000 per year. I will say in 2023 it was slightly higher simply because we had 2 audits that year for 2021 and 2022. So we would really like to continue working with Krugel-Lawton, and we ask for you to push this through.
And that's the general accepted auditing practices, the GAP.
Correct. Not all counties in the state have are on GAP. But St. Joseph County, due to its size, is required to have a gap conversion. So our county chooses to contract out and have a third party do our gap conversion, which is amazing. It would require a lot more work in our office and probably, to be honest, other positions that have higher education in order to do the gap conversion.
Any questions?
If I may, Commissioners, this contract, and I'm going to ask for the same thing with the Health Department, it does not have the standard debarment addendum that we typically use to comply with SBOA requirements. So my request today would be that this be approved contingent upon the acceptance of the debarment addendum.
We can get that added.
Yeah.
Yep.
Want to keep in line.
Absolutely.
If there are no questions, do we have a motion to approve the renewal agreement with Krugel-Lawton, subject to the debarment provision being added to the contract?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Department of Health. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi,
Mark Esbick, Director of Environmental Health, St. Joseph County Health Department. We have a contract with Roberts Environmental to provide oversight of installation of monitoring wells and to collect samples at the site. Back in the spring of last year, we requested money to do a groundwater study, and we completed our study in July, and now the owner of the property is wanting to do their own study. And so we are contracting with Roberts Environmental to provide oversight to make sure that the monitoring wells are installed properly and samples are collected.
Anybody have any questions on this? This has been an ongoing
Yes.
situation out at that site.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask the same thing, that the motion be made with subject to the debarment agreement being added.
Do we have a motion to approve the contract with Roberts Environmental Services, again, contingent upon the debarment clause being added to the contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Approval amending the contract with Force 5.
Good morning, Robin Vita, Director of Health Outreach, Promotion, Education, St. Joseph County Department of Health. Office is on the 8th and 9th floor of this building. This is an amendment to our existing contract with Force 5 that is to do a public awareness campaign for our community health worker program. This is adding in additional funds to do video production and photography. When we originally had our Force 5 contract signed a few months ago, we were hopeful we would be able to use existing content. However, that is not the case. So we needed to add in some additional funds to be able to produce that content for short video ads and website information.
I see the same issue here, too.
Yeah, I made note.
Any questions for Robin?
What do they actually do for y'all? Force 5, and what does that equate to?
Force 5 is a marketing company here locally, and they are working on elevating the awareness about our community health worker program in St. Joseph County. So they will be doing digital media, some website updating and monitoring, as well as tracking to increase the amount of folks in our county who are aware of our CHW program. So it's all creation of media.
How long have you guys been working with them?
Since May of 2023. We had begun conversations with them in October, and then we finalized a contract brought to the commissioners in May, which was signed. Then summertime hit, and I was out of office for an extended length, and then we picked it back up as new Department of Health leadership came in.
Was this part of the process with the previous director that they wanted to do something a long time ago, and it didn't make sense to me the way they explained it?
It was. So the only difference here is before in the original contract, we were hopeful to use existing content that we had created prior to contract with Force 5. When we sat down, started looking at that content, we decided it would not be utilized as well as if we could create specific content with Force 5 to do the marketing they intended.
I got you on that. So have you gotten any quantified data yet that says, hey, this is working, or we're getting 30% more people to do lead testing, or whatever it would be?
So we just published our online profiles for each of our CHWs. So we can look at Google Analytics to see increase in visitation to those sites. But this is critical in us moving forward to get that data that you're looking for.
Okay. So are you getting a lot of that feedback? Because you all have your own website, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's managed through the state.
Do we need to include that on our county page or our county Facebook too, or?
The marketing materials?
Right.
For sure.
Okay.
Yep. And once those things are created, approved, I will make sure they are shared loudly to everybody.
Because I think when the weather's nice, I know that your health director would like to go, because we could do stuff, outreach at farmers market, which is, it's simple, and there's hundreds of people that go there.
Yep, and we are rapidly filling our open CHW positions, which also allow us to do more outreach to get more awareness.
It's a win-win.
As soon as the ice thaws.
Sure. Well, I'd like to compliment the health department, because you really took that. It was extremely dysfunctional with the old community outreach workers. That place is a mess, so thank you guys for fixing that up.
How many open positions do you have currently that you're
For the department or for just CHWs?
CHWs.
I believe we have 2 now? Yeah. I knew an offer had just been made, so 2.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do we have a motion to approve amending the contract with Force 5?
Motion to approve this contract with Force 5.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Right, aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to probate court, approval of application for the discretionary grant.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Dr. Bill Brunsma, Juvenile Justice Center. I'm before you asking approval on two grants. One's a discretionary grant and piggybacks onto the Community Corrections Grant. Before you, you know that we've been getting this grant for a long time. Community Corrections Grant is $278,771. And the discretionary grant is an extra $10,000 that we applied for and got.
Good job in bringing dollars back to the county. Roughly, what is do you have plans for the discretionary grant?
Yes, we're looking at what we call trade programs for our students to explore. And it could be in construction, electrical, plumbing, things like that, for the kids that are out of the day reporting program.
Any questions?
Not at this time.
Do we have a motion? Let's take them one at a time. Application for the discretionary grant.
Motion to approve for the grant.
So moved.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And next, we have the Community Corrections Grant, which, as Dr. Brunsma said, is an ongoing. We've had this in past years. Any questions on the Community Corrections Grant? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve this community corrections grant and move forward.
Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
One note, Commissioner Baxmeyer, we do need a letter from you by Friday with the approval. Cheryl Rush had sent you an email on that. Okay.
But before you step down, this is your, how many decades have you been in our corrections? 5, correct? No, I'm not trying to make fun of you, right?
How many decades?
Yeah, didn't you start at Parkview with Tom, right?
No, I didn't start with Tom. I came over in '97, worked for the Department of Corrections as an E7 psychologist for the Department of Corrections before coming here.
Well, I worked with Tom back in the day. But
Yeah.
no, I'd like to thank everything that happens over there. For people who don't know, that's a extremely stressful and hard job with all of the things you've done. But when Tom Frederick started, when Buddy and I were going to IUSB, when Parkview was on the corner, it's morphed into this huge thing that is needed for the community, and it's just a lot of hard work. People who've never been in there, besides all the court stuff y'all do, it's like Grand Central Station at that building daily. But tell your staff and everybody else, we the commissioners, and even Mish, we appreciate all the work you're doing with the youth of the community and attempting to turn them onto the right track. So
Well, I totally appreciate that.
plus,
I
he's a
totally
member of
appreciate
O'Brien Center, and he does go work out, Mr. Mish, just to let you know.
Can he squat more than you, then?
And I see Commissioner there
No.
once in a while.
There you go.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Sky Metter said he's gonna come down with us and start hitting it.
Anything under old business?
One quick thing, Dan Caruso, are you on the air there?
Yes.
Hey, did you go to the people on Mayflower with IDEM when they showed up? Did you go to that meeting?
The public was not invited.
Okay,
Deborah tried to go, and she was not allowed to attend.
of course, why would the public have to be made aware of stuff?
Right.
Thank you.
you.
Did you guys have time to go? Okay.
Moving on to public comment. Does anybody wish to offer anything this morning or here in the room? If not, we'll go to those online. Nobody's hand is raised.
Somebody's waving?
Oh, there's Tom. Go ahead.
Good morning, Tom McCormick, North Liberty. I just wanted to give best wishes to Deb Fleming as she's wrapping up in her final week, and definitely say thank you for your service to the county. Definitely blessings and best wishes to you and your family as you get to spend time with those grandkids. So thank you, Deb.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you very much.
Your comment is appreciated, and we will mark next week from today as your last day. Anybody else wish to offer a comment? If not, do we have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Take care.
Time you gonna be there, 5 tonight?
Safe today.
The recording has stopped.
5 tonight?
Lifting.
Oh, okay.
Dieter says you can't